Welcome to the Dowden Podcast. I'm your host, the official CRG, and today I want to discuss time management and how crucial it is as an entrepreneur. Now, before we get started, you could find this video strictly on YouTube, but the audio everywhere else. But with that said, time management is something that I struggled with myself as an entrepreneur, and I know others have also. So today we're just going to talk about some ways to better manage your time on a day-to-day basis and why it is so crucial. So, to start this off, time management can be handled in a couple different ways. For example, it could be your sleep pattern or the time of day you eat, and those things can put an effect on your mood and energy and even your time management. Because if you're up all night and you wake up at 1 or 2 p.m., you realistically then only have 10 to 12 hours to work and do daily things unless you're up all night again. And that's just going to be a repeating process. But if you go to sleep around 10 or 11 p.m., you get at least 9 to 10 hours of needed sleep because our bodies need at least 7 to 8 hours for us to be fully energized. So if you get that needed sleep and wake up around 8 or 9 a.m., then that gives you around 13 to 14 hours to do your daily things and work. And I promise you, those 3 to 4 extra hours will make a huge difference in not only your mood, but your company or whatever you are trying to build. Because if you're always tired, you're not going to be pushing out all these ideas. You're just going to want to get the work done and go right to bed. And that will show in your work. I mean, you have to think about it. If most people are staying up all night and just half assing work, what do you think the other 10% are doing? While other people are asleep, they're grinding, they're working, and they're pushing out that extra work or that extra time. And that is what's going to make that 10% grow higher than the rest because they're the ones that have their time management together, that have a schedule together, and are making sure that they are optimizing their time and putting in everything they need to, and that their energy levels and mood aren't going to affect their brand or company. Now, let's say sleep isn't the issue and you just always have stuff to do, but you forget or run out of time. Time management can still be used here, it's just in a couple different ways. And for example, it can be through a whiteboard or sticky notes. You can set timers or alarms on your phone if you have somewhere to be. And if it's just homework or even work, just at home work, or even with your own company, you have to learn to work on things each day. Start small. If you have 7 pages, don't go do 5 pages in one day because then you're going to wear yourself out and not going to want to do it tomorrow or the next day. And you're just going to put it off last minute. But if you go and you work on each page, maybe you do a page a day or a problem a day. If you're in school, do a couple sentences, a couple classes a day. Get it taken care of instead of waiting until the day it's due and then rushing through everything and not getting the better grade, not learning the right way. I mean, rushing can cause a lot of problems. So you need to take your time when it comes to things, but you also need to learn not to overwhelm yourself because a lot of people overwhelm themselves with work and a workload. So, time management is very important when it comes to not only an entrepreneur, but really anything you do that is work related. And like I was just saying, if you're an entrepreneur, you can do the same thing. Write things down, make notes, set alarms, work on things each day and make sure you're consistent. Because as an entrepreneur, you do work for yourself. And that is the beauty. You set your schedule, you pay yourself, you do what you want and your things with your ideas. But through that can also lack a lot of consistency and even just determination. Like you have to make sure you are determined, that you set a schedule for yourself. If you're working on a project, you need to set a deadline. It's your project, but at least set a deadline so you can follow it. With the podcast, I mean, with this podcast, I didn't have to drop episodes every week, every Friday, but I wanted to set a deadline. I wanted to make sure my business and company would grow and that you guys would get all the content you needed on a daily or weekly basis. So you need to make sure your time management is right and that you have everything planned out and ready to go. Especially in today's society, you can't half-ass your work. You have to have discipline, you have to be determined, and you have to be consistent. If you really want your dream to come true, you have to manage your time and accept that you're going to have to make sacrifices, but it will work out in the long run. So, with that said, today's quote is by Paul J. Meyer. He once said, "Productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of a commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort." I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to leave a like and follow down below. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And this is the Dowden Podcast.